France is a land of beauty, but also of violence, shadows, and hope. Its history is a story of glory and pain, woven together. Empires have risen and fallen here. Kings have been crowned and beheaded. The nation has always danced between chaos and order. Listen to the echoes. Swords clash, crowds roar, ideas burn brighter than fire. France is shaped by revolutions, some with banners and some with blood. It is a country that never settles, never stands still. From wild forests to golden palaces, from muddy trenches to crowded streets, the pulse beats on. Through every age, France changes, breaks, and rebuilds. This is the story of a nation in motion. In every shadow, there is glory. In every triumph, there is pain. To know France is to understand contradiction and the power of transformation. Long before France, there was Gaul. Picture vast forests, rivers, and misty hills. Tribes lived here, fierce and proud. The Gauls worshipped strange gods and painted their bodies for war. They built wooden forts and traded with distant lands. Life was brutal. Villages burned in raids. Warriors boasted of their courage. Chiefs ruled by strength and cunning. The wildness of Gaul was both its danger and its shield. Then Rome came. Julius Caesar marched his legions across the land. Swords met spears. The Gauls fought back, but Roman might crush them. Slowly, roads and towns spread. Latin words replaced ancient tongues. Roman baths and villas shone beneath the Gallic sun. Yet, beneath the marble, the old spirit lived on. Gaul was changed forever, but its wild heart never truly died. Rome fell. The old order crumbled. Suddenly Gaul was exposed. Invaders swept in, Franks, Visigoths, and others. Chaos reigned. Cities were sacked. Old laws vanished. Fear walked the land. Amidst the terror rose a warlord named Clovis. He was cunning and ruthless. Clovis united the Franks, crushing rival tribes. He saw a new path to power, Christianity. In a cold river, he was baptized. This act changed everything. It tied his crown to the church and the church to his sword. The chaos slowly faded. Kingdoms grew from the rubble. The idea of France began to form, a land not just of tribes, but of a people. The king held power, but he wore a crown given by God. From darkness, a fragile order emerged. The Middle Ages dawned with stone castles rising from the mist. Lords ruled over peasants, knights trained for war, swearing oaths of loyalty. Life was hard for most. Fields toiled, harvests failed, hunger and fear were common. Yet, there was hope. Monasteries preserved learning, artists carved great cathedrals, stories of heroes filled the air. But war returned again and again. The 100 Years' War tore France apart. Kings fought for their thrones, England's shadow loomed. Into this chaos stepped Joan of Arc. A peasant girl claiming visions, led armies. She wore armor and carried hope. Victories followed her, but betrayal came. Joan was captured, tried for heresy, and burned alive. Her death brought sorrow, but also unity. Joan became a symbol, a light in the darkness. Power now belonged to kings. None shone brighter than Louis XIV, the Sun King. He built Versailles, a palace of gold and mirrors. Nobles flocked to his court, dazzled and trapped. Louis ruled with absolute power. His word was law. But you know, glory came at a cost. The poor starved while the palace glittered. Taxes crushed villages, wars drained the treasury. The king danced at grand balls, while peasants struggled in fields. Versailles was a symbol, a dream and a prison. Splendor hid the cracks in the kingdom. Secret whispers spread in the shadows. The people watched, resentful and hungry. The Sun King's light was blinding. But darkness gathered beyond the palace gates. The people had enough. In Paris, anger boiled. Bread was scarce, taxes high. The king ignored the cries. Then the storm broke. Crowds stormed the Bastille, tearing down a symbol of tyranny. The revolution had begun. Hope filled the streets. Rights were declared. The king was forced to face his people. But dreams turned to nightmares. Violence swept the land. The guillotine rose in the squares. King Louis XVI lost his head. So did thousands more. Nobles, radicals, enemies, friends. Blood ran in the streets, fear ruled. Yet, the revolution changed everything. Power no longer belonged to kings alone. The people had a voice, even as terror haunted them. France was reborn in fire and blood. The world would never be the same. Out of the chaos rose Napoleon Bonaparte. He was not born a king, but seized a crown with brilliance and ambition. Soldiers followed him across Europe. Victories piled up. France became an empire. Napoleon promised order and glory. He made laws, built roads, and crowned himself emperor. But war was never far. Europe turned against him. Battles in Russia, Spain, and Waterloo drained France's strength. Defeat came swiftly. Napoleon fell, exiled far from home. But his mark was deep. Old kingdoms trembled. New ideas of power, law, and nation spread everywhere. France was changed forever. It had tasted greatness and the price of ambition. The 19th century was restless. Kings returned, then fell. Revolutions flared up and died down. France searched for true power, monarchy or republic, order or freedom. The struggle never stopped. Then came the 20th century. World War I brought horror, muddy trenches, barbed wire, endless death. An entire generation was scarred. Then, World War II, Nazi occupation, resistance fighters, and the liberation of Paris. The price of freedom was high. France was battered but unbeaten. The people rose from ruins. They remembered heroes, mourned the lost, and rebuilt their nation. Hope returned. France would never forget its pain, but it marched forward once more. After the wars, France changed again. Its empire faded, but its ideas did not. Paris became a beacon for artists, writers, and dreamers. French cinema painted stories of love and loss on the screen. Existentialist thinkers questioned everything. Yet, protests still burned. Students filled the streets in 1968. Workers demanded justice. Women fought for rights. France's spirit was restless, never content to accept things as they were. Change was everywhere. Old buildings stood beside new towers. The past danced with the future. France shaped fashion, food, and art for the world. Through it all, the country kept searching for meaning, always ready to challenge the world. France is a land of contradictions. It is proud and wounded, gentle and fierce. Its past is marked by glory and grief, by revolution and revival. Through every storm, it endures. The French love debate. They question, protest, and demand change. Yet, they also cherish beauty, tradition, and celebration. In their stories, shadows and light are never far apart. The nation is always transforming. From tribal forests to glittering palaces, from battlefields to cafes, France reinvents itself. Its heart beats to the rhythm of history, sometimes slow, sometimes wild. In the end, France's greatest gift is its spirit, a promise that change is always possible. The story is never finished. It is written anew, every day.